Hey, there we are. Good morning, folks. This is Midnight Brands coming to you on April 24th, 2023, and this is live prep going for the day. Should be an interesting one. We always say that, but how many days aren't interesting where you get some good moves? It's not summertime trading yet, although it might feel that way with how low the ADRs have been. There have definitely been some good sized moves if you are patient and wait for the right levels, which we can attest is a very hard one to do at times for sure. I have gone through prep already, and we're just going to go ahead and dig right into it here today. And we'll begin off with SVXY. Have, again, like I said, prepped all these things already, so just going to flip through them and see how this goes time-wise, and if anybody does watch these, feedback-wise and whatever else. If you watch these after the fact and you have a question, comment, whatever, go ahead and put a note in there and we'll come back and take a look at them. Of course, if you put the time block, that'll certainly help us as well. As a quick reminder, we're not financial analysts, advisors, anything of the sort. Nothing we say should be representative of any kind of past performance, future results. You know the drill, folks. Like, we're not financial advisors. Do your own research. Everything we do here carries risk. This is really for educational, informational purposes only. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dig in. SVXY is super clean. It's really nice flipping through all these charts. You know, got a nice kind of set of zones here today. It's gapping down just a tiny bit. It's at 68.05 now, but really kind of good zones. This one here looks a little bit wide with this quarterly trend guide, monthly, weekly, and daily, but you know, look, by the time you come up to daily trend guide, like, you're right there. Why not just go grab the weekly stuff? So it makes sense to us just with where things are at. And then down below, you know, you've got that kind of nice zone there with the daily trend guide expanded, so you include those highs back there in February, the tick for tick of them in March, and then the weekly trend guide with your ADR. Although if we'll have to see where ADR sit. You probably want to expand that zone a little bit, so it does still include your gap fill as well as the ADRs there. Coming up below that, you've got a handful of VWAPs until you get to your weekly trend guide to AR1. So pretty interesting on that one for sure. So that is SVXY with VIX. It's gapping up here a little bit this morning to it's coming in a little bit. It was 1774. It's now down to 1760. It did flip its daily trend guides last week, which is pretty interesting. It's its first time in, oh gosh, 25 days where the daily R1 pivot had been trend guide, meaning it's guiding the equity, future, whatever, into a trend mode down. And so really interesting. It flipped. It did not flip the weeklies though, and it tried to poke above there a little bit, and so far is rejecting off of that with indices pushing here a bit, which we'll see in a little bit. And so in any event, we noted a couple of extra upside zones for the day, just in case things something goes on. So on those kind of extreme upsides, you've got your 20 with your weekly trend guide 4, 50-day. It's also your tier 2 end of week cheat. Beneath that, it's your weekly trend guide 3 with supply and demand gap fill there. And then where we start getting into the real zones that were highlighted was the weekly trend guide 2, 20-day supply and demand, and your tier 2 cheat. Just beneath there, you have your end of week cheat, and you also have the weekly photo ADR. Although, depending upon where we open, the weekly photo ADR is going to move up pretty significantly. So we'll just have to see where that one lines up. We theoretically have our full and photo ADRs. Of course, you know, that'll all depend upon where we open for the day. Nice little spot there. We're trying to reject off of Friday's highs. Looks like it's even last week's highs. Yeah, it looks like it's actually rejecting last week's highs, like right here. And so you got that in there as well with the weekly trend guide, and then the daily trend guide reversal stuff just below. with 1736, which had been some historical structure. So anyways, I don't need to read the rest of the stuff on here. You guys can see kind of where the arrows and stuff are pointing out. It's pretty nice and clear zones here today for VIX, so really nice there on that front. Moving on to SPY, it's got a nice kind of little flag there that we noticed when we were going through prep there. It is, let me see where SPY is now. And I need to do it in a way that I don't change all my charts. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so SPY is at 411.69, so it's coming up a bit. Did come down. Excuse me. Did come down and just touch that trend guide reversal. I have to look at it on a minute chart to see there, but I do think it came down and just barely touched that trend guide reversal. So moving up, if it does decide to continue pushing back above, and keep in mind like the ADRs were pretty small there too. It was 250 plus minus on SPY for Friday, so really tight compression Friday there too. So if it does keep pushing back up, that'll move it into our expanded zone of WPP and daily trend guide. And then it's kind of weak, but there is, again, you know, we got that touch on the 18th and then again on the 19th there with the highs. So maybe we come up and tag that top edge of that flag and don't even get to the gap fill div level that we noted right here, which is really just, again, it's a div, it's just a gap fill. So you may come and grab that, maybe you poke above a little bit, catch the top edge or bottom edge of supply and demand and fail, or we decide to keep going and we go up and we grab this weekly trend guide reversal, full ADRs. That looks like the tier 2 daily cheat, yeah, because up here at weekly trend guide reversal 2 is the tier 3. The tier 1 daily cheat is actually right there in this block here. So it's actually right there in that div fill, or that gap fill, sorry. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The other piece that I would note that I think is interesting is here in this block, this div level here, you got your 20-day full ADRs gap fill. Again, full ADRs may move around, but it's right there. And then between this, you get kind of this swing, pair of swing AV WAPs from this gap fill, this range gap day there. There's not one that's valid off of that guy, but then the day before there was a big dip and then push at 130 there. So that is it on SPY. Moving on to the Qs, really clean on the Qs here for the day. Got a nice zone up at the highs with gap fill, supply and demand. You could drag it down to include the tier 3 daily cheat. Candidly, I don't think we're going to go up and see that high. We'll see. I have no idea, but it just doesn't feel like that for the day. The other part that is interesting, just kind of looking here, is, it's just barely trying to push above. It's kind of stuck between this VWAP here and this 320 highs that goes back quite a ways. And so, you can see it just doesn't want to get a close above there at all on this 321.24. And so really nice kind of seeing this. You probably could take the weekly trend guide reversal up to 321.24 there. Full ADRs are probably going to be there, and the Qs have moved back up to 316.53. So they're moving back up, as well as indices are continuing to push off of their Europe and then London opens. Not a whole lot else to say. It did a really good job of holding the 20-day on Friday there. It's trying to somewhat hold this VWAP from March 28th, 29th, whatever that is. It does not work on the daily, so that's why you don't see it here. Sorry, on the intraday, that's why you don't see it there. Yeah, it's a pretty clean one for sure. It is also interesting to note here, Also, that the 20-day symmetrical stream is reset. Like it's obviously, like, we touched it on Friday, so like it's completely reset. It was pretty elevated, as you may recall from seeing the stuff before, but it is nicely reset. So ES here, it's moved up a little bit. It's now at 4151, and it is running into. Let me make sure this is still a valid view up before I say anything. Yeah, it's a really janky swing AV WAP. I wouldn't even include it now that I see it on there looking like that. So at the top edge here, you can see it's starting to come up into this zone here, which is we're trying out something new, which is looking to find a way to normalize and aggregate the volume profiles across the 3-year, 20-day, 10-day, and last week. And we'll probably add in the previous day here soon. I need to do a little bit more work before we do that, and it was quite a lot of head scratching and thinking about what's the best way to do this. So what you'll see on our charts here as it relates to the futures prep is we're using a combo in a way that we have looked to combine the volume profiles across the various time frames I just mentioned, and applying a weighting normalization factor to them based upon some sauce that we'll see if we think is secret or proprietary or not, but not quite ready to share that yet. I think it could be really interesting. If you didn't see, we actually talked about that here this is kind of what it originally looked like. So you get your 3-year, your last week, your 10-day, your 20-day, and so we took that and we normalized it. And so that's what you see there on our ES chart, right? Which kind of makes sense. Like, big volumes there, especially if you look back on the previous one. And the 3 years got a huge kind of point of control stuff up here at this 55-ish level. Got definitely some point of control, or not point of control, high volume nodes and stuff here, and such. And so this is kind of a nice alignment here. And then if you give some weight to the more recent trend stuff, I mean, there's definitely some aspects here at this area. And so just flipping back, you can see kind of what and how that stuff gets combined there. And so in any event, moving back to ES, so that's where the combo pieces are coming in, and what and how we're treating those. So it's, again, looking at the volume profile across several time frames to try to find the key pieces out of that. So with that, and no surprise there, high volume node right at the 4180 actually should have a div level there with that high volume node, the 4180 structural level, and the gap fill there. Obviously full ADRs are moving all around here, but I'll be putting that on my chart before I share it with the rest of the folks in one of the rooms. Keep moving up above, since that's where I just started here right now. Right above that, you have the other zone, which is weekly trend guide reversal. You have your tier 2 daily cheat stuff, supply and demand. Pretty big level. You can see how it rejected. Couldn't even get to it. Obviously, it rejected from there back on the 14th, 15th. Can't really tell. Looks like the 14th on that day. So definitely a big area there. And then further above that, we noted the div. We didn't note this much higher level because that just seemed extreme. It's certainly there, but that would be pretty out there to go up and tag that. It's possible, I guess. I mean, it'd be about another 60 points, I guess. So it'd be an 80-point day because we've already traded about 20. So Coming back down below, so you get your trend guide, high daily anchored VWAP, supply and demand is right there. I've noted it's and actually pulled up and included trend guide and weekly pivot into this one here. Photo ADR just left all by itself. Okay, sure, it's there, but I did note this trend strength reference point, and actually it picked it up when I reran it because it's got the swing anchored VWAP coming down. It's also coming down to meet that combo point of control, and there's an NV POC in there yesterday from the prior days point of control. Coming down below, you can see it looks like it just cut off here, where you've got this kind of transfer trend line stuff coming up here. Dates back to March something. It's like March 29th, 28th, and just barely closed below. Quick recoveries off of it, so left that on there. But that trend guide reversal zone is pretty nice. You also have the combo high volume node there, March's highs, and your tier 1 weekly, or sorry, tier 1 daily sheet. I should apologize. Pretty interesting levels. Been definitely gotten tested a lot in here. Got tested there, tested over here, and it's held all these times. Tested from below, tested. So it's gotten plenty of tests kind of in this area, this 4140, 4135-ish spot. So candidly, kind of wouldn't mind. It'd be kind of a gift if it came down and did decide to tag this weekly trend guide, photo ADR. Or even more if it came down and grabbed this lower spot with the March 24th daily anchored VWAP there, just below the 20-day EMA. So yeah, I don't know. There's a whole lot else there with ES. The rest of the zones are pretty clean and clear. And I'm going to move on to NQ. So NQ, not really a falling wedge by any stretch, just kind of an interesting transfer trend line that we noted there. You can make an argument here about if this one's valid or not. It's there. It does have some violations, but it reclaimed. So touch there, reclaim. So to us it was good. In any event, you can see the level's pretty clean there. I don't really like how close these two are to each other, but not knowing kind of if we're going to keep, kind of falling down or not. Would full ADRs come in here in line? So, and again, just starting to play with this aspect of a combo point of control, volume profile stuff. Again with the aggregating of everything there. So. What else here? Oh, so it's your call on how you want to treat this. This was split up with the daily trend guide, combo high volume node, tier 1 daily sheet, supply demand low, and then this weekly pivot stuff lower. And part of that is because it's got the daily anchored VWAP and stuff right there, and so it chose to cut it up. I just decided to make this one bigger zone. It is a wide zone going from 154 to 121, so a 30-ish point zone. Maybe do something where you come up and tag, you come back and grab a swing anchored VWAP from the lows, and then push and grab the highs there. Don't know, it just felt more natural to include as one zone as opposed to two. Trend strength, as you can see there, it's kind of there. It's got an NV POC. It's was definitely some interactional areas last week. You can see that even going back further. Right? So it's definitely been an area of interest for folks. Did not include the 20-day. It's just kind of been over under there. Is not something else. You could, I guess, take up the trend guide reversal to here. Or take the trend guide reversal zone up to include the combo high volume node, especially kind of where and how we did stuff. And I think before I save my charts, I'm going to extend this up. Moving down below, really nice one there, actually, in our mind. Right, you've got the March 15th swing anchor VWAP. Oh, and actually, hold on here. right here at this zone here, you've got the March 20th daily anchored VWAP right in this daily trend guide reversal zone. So don't want to lose sight of that. That is a pretty good one there from that March 20th time period. And so actually we'll, yeah. I don't know, I thought we noted that on the chart. Yes, we missed it. But in any event, there's a daily anchored VWAP right there in that zone, which is pretty nice. Moving down here below, we've got the daily anchor, swing anchor VWAP, I should say. What's that? Weekly trend guide, gap fill. So pretty nice one there. And then you start getting down lower into some of the deeper zones, and now you're pushing down 200 plus points, which will be above kind of where we have been trading here recently. You can see over on the left, right, we've barely cracked, we haven't even cracked 200. So if everything really falls apart, then we'd really be watching this big zone down here. We'd probably go out, take out this guy, and then get a good response off this 12,800 level, which I remember had been, there'd definitely been some interactional stuff back here in this spot. So that is NQ, RTY, probably going to flip through here. Zone's pretty self-evident. You can see, got a nice zone there, good MPP one there. And RTY is actually up to almost 1800, so it's starting to come into the bottom edge of this zone here. So, which is, very interestingly, the combo point of control. Looks like a gap fill there, a naked VA, so really kind of a big-ish area here, but it's inside of some of this prior day range stuff, and so that's why we mark it inside. We'll have to check KRE, XBI, and see what, if anything, we do here. And while I say all that, I'm going to check. There wasn't really much econ stuff today. Fed National Activity Index for March at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. I'm not candidly sure what that is, but at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern is the Dallas Fed Manufacturing for April, which could be more interesting. In any event, weekly anchored VWAP here at this lower level with weekly trend guide reversal. You've got a combo, what is that? We dragged it down. I can't really see if that's a low volume or high volume node. Looks like a high volume node there. These two are really close to each other. I think if we come back down here, I mean, this was a really nice hold of the tier 1 daily cheat, of the daily trend guide reversal zone. You also have a swing anchored VWAP. You come and look over here. And just dick for tick the one from March 24th, but really kind of held the one from April 5th. So if we come back down here, then why not come and grab this area, tag that other high volume node, close out the naked VA from back here on the 15th, 16th, whatever this day is. Must be the 14th because the 15th, I think, was a weekday or weekend. Anyhow, I think that's about it for RTY, YM. Not a whole lot to say here on this one. Got a nice bigger one up there. We did not include the div way up above. Kind of stopped at the zone 1 with your weekly trend guide reversal 2. It had been weekly photo ADRs. You can see it didn't rerun this one. The zones outside of those little minor things were still really the same as what they were last night when we flipped through them. So, and again, like all the stuff you see on here, like these arrows, yeah, we drew to kind of highlight things, but all this output, this is all automatically calculated, and then these zones are, automatically plotted on here, and we may tweak and make some adjustments on what we see, trying to understand human psychology and where things are at, but like all the stuff that's on the screen here is all automatically plotted. There's no, trying to figure out this combo HVN and draw it on the screen. So everything that's on here is all automatically drawn for us, which is a really nice way to just come in, make some tweaks, adjustments, and be ready for the day. So now we are manually plotting on here these swing anchored VWAPs, but you can see like it's also picking them up in here. That's just visual clues for us, and as we walk through and share thoughts here with folks. But the daily anchored VWAPs are automatically included in this prep output here. So like you can see April 18th, oh look, it's automatically picked up. It's a high daily anchored VWAP from April 18th. And that's actually a pretty nice zone because the combo point of control is up there. So this will definitely be one that we're watching here. If YM can get up there, that would be a nice kind of spot. I would like to see that be 250-ish points, 200-ish points from the lows. So that'd be a decent enough spot to try. That I would try. Not suggesting that anybody else here does that. So. Another kind of big zone here is you got your 20-day EMA, the tier 1 daily cheat. This would actually be a good area here to watch for on the bottom. You get your 20-day EMA, tier 1 daily cheat, and a swing anchor VWAP setting up for the look. And so that would be a pretty interesting one there to watch and observe for on how that interacts. We break down further below that, then you end up with your full ADRs, weekly trend guide, naked VA, and then your March 24th daily anchored VWAP lower until you get to this bigger zone down here with the tier 2 daily cheat, weekly photo, and the trend guide 3. So CL, pretty clean on CL here with those changes we made the other week and trying to clean up what, where, and how we grab things. We did make a couple of small adjustments. So let's start just with the top. You have some other pieces of evidence between this April 14th zone and up here, but in general, right, you got your div up here, which is the combo point of control, your gap fill, as well as March's highs and the tier 1 cheat for the end of the week, with tier 2 daily just above or below that, I should say. Moving down below, we expanded this one here to include the weekly pivot along with that combo high volume node, the gap fill. It was last week's real-time hour lows, obviously not the oh, sorry, no, it was the end for the week of April 14th, not last week. So the prior week's lows and then the tier 1 daily cheat. You can see there's also a swing anchored VWAP from April 14th coming in to join that zone. So this would actually be a very interesting one. Would love to keep an eye out on, assuming we push through and blow through these zones here, which right now we're still kind of flirting around with this trend strength reference point zone, and it actually looks like it's a pretty interesting one from a volume profile perspective and whatnot. So probably add and mark that up on the chart. We'll have to see. We may just say nope and go for a walk after we finish this. So then trend guide reversal, supply and demand gap fill. So we expanded this to go down. In the event we decide to pull from this level here, go close that during real-time hours, and then decide to fail that, then we've got our div down here with photo ADRs, the low daily anchored VWAP, as well as a weekly anchored VWAP right there, supply and demand low. And then the other bigger one that we noted was kind of the top edge of this block here. We've got that big range gap and gap fill probably from that day actually. So yeah, I think that is CL, GC. How is GC doing right now? GC is still about the same spot we left her. She's 1995, 30. So not really much of a change there. Did combine a couple of things in looking at this. So you've got your div here. The zone below that, we kind of were thinking of adjusting this. So take that where you get your full ADRs, your weekly trend guide reversal, tier 3 daily cheat, and then join it with this photo ADR stuff here. I mean, yeah, there's a daily anchor VWAP, but I watched the swing one here. The swing coming up and joining right with that tier 2 daily cheat, the daily trend guide, combo, high volume node. I would watch that as opposed to having this zone quite that large. And so drew that up and marked it that way here on the chart that we saved into one of the other rooms. Lower here, we noted up and marked this one this way where we did not go up and include this weekly pivot zone up to include that tier 1 daily cheat. We kind of locked it in at the weekly pivot, combo HVN, and then drew it down to include the trend strength, 20-day swing. I mean, this is kind of setting up for now the look from below. And so come up and hit this and then reject, potentially come down and grab the 50. Have no idea if it's going to do that or not, but it's definitely one going to keep an eye out on and see what happens here. Am I going to try the short? No, I don't think so. I'm probably going to finish this and go take a walk and then come back with a clean mind after walking through all this prep. Below, in any event, you got this zone here, trend guide, swing anchor VWAP, some lows from yesterday. You do have the daily cheat stuff there. It just kind of feels like if we're down here, just go and grab the bottom edge of that zone. And then below, you get your another kind of swing anchor VWAP there from March 10th, lows at 8 o'clock, weekly trend guide, tier 2 daily cheats, gap fill, and then there's some structure at that 1976.58 level before you decide to fall further if you wanted to and go grab this this other stuff there with the ADRs, tier 3 daily cheat, and the tier 1 end of week is right there too. So interesting that the where the end of week cheat stuff is this this time around. Interesting. Anywho, that is it there, folks. Nothing else to see there, so that is going to wrap it for us for the day. Hopefully that was useful, informative, whatever, and that's gonna be it for us. So we will catch y'all later.